Since its publication, the biography of Steve Jobs has found a lot of readers, obviously. A lot of them have been business managers, and a lot of them are adopting, at least they're trying to adopt, what they think is the Jobs style. Leslie Kwoh is here with that story.
Hi.
Hey Leslie, how are you?
Good, thanks.
That sounds kind of scary if they're adopting the Jobs style.
The job. Well, what's scary about it is that it was so unique to him.
Yeah.
And that's really my first question. I mean, Steve Jobs, he obviously wildly successful, very unique, idiosyncratic style. How can you just say, oh, I'm going to be a Steve Jobs now and be a great CEO?
Right.
But that's what people are doing.
Right. And he was demanding, and I think that's a nice way to put it. But that's exactly what a lot of people are saying, and including the book's author, Walter Isaacson. You know, when I told him that a lot of managers are adopting Steve Jobs' style, he said, well, Steve Jobs is kind of unique, and if you say that you're going to adopt his style, make sure you have his skills too. Yeah. But a lot of managers are doing that, and they're fine. I mean, they want to be Steve Jobs. They admire his products. One manager told us that, in a sense, when his employees read the book, they'll realize that he's actually nice compared to Steve Jobs. He's a nice guy.
So he should have his employees read the book.
Yeah.
That guy said that on the record?
He said it on the record.
What company is that?
He bought books for his employees. So, yeah.
Was that what made him nice? That he bought them like Christmas presents? Was the Jobs pile? You know, but I guess you can argue that, look, he was successful. He did have a certain way about him. But I mean, the things that the procedures he brought to his business, which were sort of different from the usual management 101, those can be translated, can't they?
Exactly. So one of his lessons was to simplify. So one company that was already having trouble with employees kind of bombarding everyone with emails all day long took it upon themselves to, after reading the biography, said, simplify your emails, 3 emails a day, you know, group them into topics, just like Steve Jobs would do. Another company, a mattress manufacturer, I mean, this guy already suspected he had a reality distortion field, read the book, was convinced that he had.
Thought Jobs did, or thought he himself did?
Thought he himself did.
Yeah.
Read the book and became convinced he did have a reality distortion field. And
in a good way or a bad way?
I think in a good way. I think he sees it in a good way. He's very persuasive, you know, and he's a mattress manufacturer, went to his showroom, redid his showroom to look like Apple stores. So instead of lining up the mattresses in rows, he lines them up in clusters on the walls. You've got messages and oversized graphics. He even wears black turtlenecs.
Yeah, well, that's the most superficial part of it.
Wait, so he wants to be like he's the Steve Jobs of mattresses.
He does want to be the Steve Jobs of mattresses, and
That's
he's
awesome.
made all his
The
employees
iMattress.
wear black. It's a uniform, and he's dubbed it Bliss Black.
See, now that's going too far. He's making his employees wear black.
Yeah, and I think in a sense, it's the concept, like you said earlier. It's the concept of having simplicity, of having a brand that is easily recognized, and that's exactly what he's done. He's realized that everyone will recognize his employees if they all wear black.
Right. But on the other hand, I mean, Steve Jobs, he obviously didn't invent the sort of simplified aesthetic. I mean, it's a very Eastern thing that he took. But he did have those skills that we talk about that a lot of people, they don't have. It's easy enough to say, I'm going to get rid of the clutter, but to really be as successful as Jobs was, you really have to have that extra thing that he had.
Right.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I think there's a lot of things that people can learn from Steve Jobs, but you can only take it to a certain point because he was a very unique individual, and a lot of what he did was not really replicable because it came down to his intuitive understanding of consumer desire, which not many people have.
Right.
So I think there's some logic to this idea that it's catching on as a management Bible, but it only to a certain point. And then there are also a lot of bad parts about the Steve Jobs management style that I think that scares the employees when they hear that their boss is wants to be Steve Jobs. They're getting kind of concerned that they're going to be yelled at a lot, and they're going to be asked to do impossible things, and on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, he was seen as a totalitarian by many of his employees. So the thing is, a lot of managers see his success and they want to imitate his success. As to whether that style is going to get them there is a whole other question.
And it's also personality type. And if you're not that person, you can't turn into it.
And meanwhile, black turtleneck sales are on the rise.
Yeah, right. As well as the book and the iPhones.
Turtleneck.
Leslie, thank you very much. Talk to you soon.